And Coulter is with us. In Trump we trust, e pluribus awesome. And, another promise made, another promise kept, and another example that the never-Trumper crowd at the Weekly Standard, the Bill Kristols, some of the NRO guys, and Brett Stevens guys at the Wall Street Journal were dead wrong about Donald Trump. And Coulter, and you and I were right.
I'm getting exhausted from winning so much. I have to take naps. It's getting so exhausting, Sean. And thank you for reminding me of the whole Merrick Garland thing. It was occurring to me last night watching Donald Trump announce that it was Gorsuch, that if this were Jeb ! He would be renominating Merrick Garland.
Well, I think, thank God, these people, I had a little Twitter exchange with Bill Kristol, and he goes, yeah, I sense that you even know at best this is going to be a train wreck. At worst, it's going to be a horrible train wreck. And all these people that were so wrong, and I got to tell you, Ann, it was the people of this country, the irredeemable, deplorable people like you, me, and all the voters in Michigan and Ohio and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, bitter people clinging to their guns, God, Bible, and religion. They made it happen, not our conservative brethren that think they are the great intellectuals.
Yes, and I'm really enjoying it. In addition to the winning, I think it is just beginning to occur to liberals that Trump's going to be president for 4 years. He gets 4 years. They thought Inauguration Day was going to be a bad day. No, it turns out this is going to go on day after day, week after week. I will wake up with a smile on my face every single morning for, probably 8 years, because it sure looks like he's doing what he said he was going to do on point after point, including what is falsely being called
the Muslim ban.
Yes, which I'm writing about. That'll be up, for assiduous Coulter readers. It will be up on Coulter.com tonight, but most people will read it tomorrow. I'm writing about the alleged Muslim ban, which doesn't mention Muslims. It just refers to, as I'm sure all your listeners know, unlike anyone on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, it just refers to these 7 terrorist-producing countries. But, the points I make in my column, okay, apart from most of them won't be terrorists, that's great. Congratulations to you. Glad to hear that. That's terrific news. The point is we can't afford this anymore. Even the really good ones that the New York Times writes about, and some of them are, they seem like fabulous Muslim immigrants doing cancer research and so on. They seem to have an awful lot of sickly and elderly relatives, and they're coming with them and signing up for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. We can't afford this anymore. I mean, if Republicans like Paul Ryan and Democrats are going to keep demanding that we reform entitlements and cut back on Social Security, increase the retirement age for Social Security and Medicare, hey, how about you guys stop using the other hand to dump millions of poverty-stricken, elderly, and sickly immigrants on the country? It's not like they're fleeing the Holocaust here. One of the New York Times is baby seals. They had these 11 cases that are supposed to tear at our heartstrings of Muslims who are blocked this weekend, sometimes for a day. Oh, horrors. One was returning from his duties as a provincial council ruler in Kirkuk. That's not exactly fleeing the ravages of war. You're still living over there. You're coming over here for your health care.
As you watch the shock and awe and the, I guess, snowflake superstorm meltdown every day, everybody in Hollywood from Madonna and Ashton Kutcher and Ashley Judd and Meryl Streep and then all the lunatics screaming and protesting day in and day out. And it's like they can't even keep up with the speed of light and the shock and awe that Donald Trump is literally unveiling on a daily basis. I see 4 years of this. Whatever his economic, when he implements his economic plan, when he implements more extreme vetting, when he eliminates Obamacare, when we move towards energy independence and he gets rid of 75% of regulations, when the wall begins to get built and the VA begins to get fixed, don't you see in every one of those instances the same meltdown? Isn't this going to be a 4-year pattern?
Yes, and I must say it is not helping them. No one wants to see Chuck Schumer on TV at any time, but particularly weeping and surrounded by these ninjas in the hijabs. No, this is not a good visual for them, not for normal people, even normal people who didn't vote for Trump. Again, we're not just worried about the San Bernardinos and the Orlandos. Why do we need this? These cases go in the not our problem file. We have enough problems. We have to take care of our own Americans, our own elderly, our own veterans, our own poor people. But Americans are getting wise to the fact, I mean, the saturation point of this mass of third world immigrants has gotten so great that people are finally figuring out, despite the media covering it up, despite the government covering it up, that we're bringing in every other country's problems in the world. I mean, it's curious. Another point I make in my column tonight is that the New York Times, why are they stressing these Muslim immigrants, not the ones black themselves, but the ones visiting their kids, who seem to have an awful lot of one-way tickets and a lot of health problems. But the kids, they brag about, this cancer researcher at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Sounds like a great guy, brilliant cancer researcher. But if the New York Times thinks that being brilliant is a desirable attribute in an immigrant, why don't we demand all our immigrants be brilliant? But no, in fact, our policy is exactly the reverse. We're more likely to turn away brilliant scientists so we can bring in a goat herder from Pakistan.
Let me ask my take is this, and a lot of people think, what do you think it means when we see the left in all their glory? Isn't this really, and then Obama praising the protesters, isn't this really what the Democratic Party has become, a coalition of kind of like misfit toys and radicalized groups? Isn't this everything that Obama appealed to and that the country, all that red doesn't want?
Yes, though I wish you wouldn't tell them, because I think if they realized, if you could put it directly to them, okay, Hollywood liberals, on one hand, we have the state of the Supreme Court for the next 30 years, what kind of country this will be. Or you can have Ashley Judd on stage. Which do you want?
Did you hear Ashley Judd? I've got my favorite comment of Ashley Judd. Let me play it for you. Her and Madonna, of course, she was dreaming of blowing up the White House. Imagine if Ann Coulter had said that or any of these things. Play it.
And to our detractors that insist that this march will never add up to anything, you. You. But this is the hallmark of revolution. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I am a nasty woman. I'm not as nasty as Confederate flags being tattooed across my city. Maybe the South actually is gonna rise again, maybe for some. It never really fell. I'm nasty, like my blood stains on my bed sheets. We don't actually choose if and when to have our periods. Believe me, if we could, some of us would. We don't like throwing away our favorite pairs of underpants. Tell me, why are tampons and pads still taxed when Viagra and Rogaine are not? Is your erection really more than protecting the sacred, messy part of my womanhood?
All right, we'll come back, and when we do, Ann Coulter will react to that, and also what she thinks of the Republican Congress. Will they come along?